Hello students. So today we are going to start our new topic, that is user defined derived data type. That day we have discussed what? Built-in derived data type. Today we will discuss the user defined derived data types. What are they? I have already told you that class, structure, union, enumeration, all these are what? User defined derived data types. That is, these are defined by the user. So what this class suggests? Class means, we have already discussed this in class 11, that what is class? Class means it binds, it encapsulates or binds the data members and member function all together in a single unit. So this was the definition of class, means the binding up of or the wrapping up of data and data members and member function all together in a single unit is known as class. So here we have defined, suppose, a class department. This is the name of the class. You can give any other name. I have taken one name as department. Suppose these are what? These are our data members, and this is what? Our member function. This you already know what are data members and member function. Member function are used to access the data members of a class. Through member function we access the data members. Clear? So this is what? These are data members, that is name, then num, emp. These are what? Data members, and these are member function, that is suppose add. Suppose we want to add a new employee to the department, then we can do it through this function. Then delete. Suppose we want to delete some employee. This employee has left the department. So I want to delete the name of the employee. So for this delete function will be used. Now here ends our class definition. This suggests what? These are the specifiers, access specifiers. Already discussed that what is the use of private, public and protected. Private means the data will be hidden, the data will remain hidden inside the class, and no other functions or data members will be allowed to access that one. Okay, these are the private. Public means these are accessible by all, means anyone can access these members, the public members. Okay, and protected means if you put a data member or member function in a protected visibility mode, then what happens in the case of inheritance, when you will inherit the properties to another class, the protected member can be inherited. The protected members can also be inherited, but the private members cannot be inherited. Clear? Protected members can be inherited to other classes, but private members cannot be inherited to other classes. Private member is never accessible by any function. Only its function, that is the classes only member function can access that data members, the private data members. None other function can access those private data members. But protected members can be accessed by the inherited class member functions also. Okay, and public means public is accessible to all the functions. Okay, from anywhere inside the program. Clear? So now here you see, here the class definition ends. Always remember that when you end the class definition, always put a semicolon. Okay, so here ends the class definition, and this is what? Department, sales, purchase. These are nothing but objects of the class department. Okay, this sales and purchase are the objects of the department class. Now why we need this object? This is because if you want to assign some value to these data members, how will you assign? We cannot assign them directly. We have to assign through object. Okay, suppose I want to add one num emp, then I have to write like this: sales dot num emp equal to 2. Like this we can assign. Through this object I can assign something to this data member. Without object you cannot assign. So that's the use of object. Suppose purchase also. For purchase, suppose name I want to assign. So purchase dot name will be Anisha, suppose. So this way we have to assign. Always remember, if you assign the name, since we have assigned data type character, so we have to give this name inside this double quotation. Okay. So this is about the class. Now you see structure. Structure is more or less same as class. There is some difference. The difference I will discuss. So in class we need the keyword class to define the class, and for structure we need the keyword struct to define the structure. So suppose here we have defined a structure student. Inside this, these are the data members: INT, roll number, character name, float marks, and here the structure is ending by putting the semicolon. You have to end the structure similarly like the class, and then we have created two objects S1 and S2. So whenever you want to access any data members from this structure, you have to access this using this object, like S1 dot roll number equal to 2, then S1 dot marks you have to assign like this 89.5. Since we have given floating point, marks can be in floating point, that's why we have assigned like this. Okay, so like this we can assign this to different data members like this 70.5. So like this, through the help of object we can access the data members of a structure, similarly like the class. But what is the difference between this class and structure? This earlier also I have discussed. I don't know how much do you remember, but I am discussing again the difference between the class and structure. First difference is the keyword class is used to define class and keyword struct is used to define the structure. This is the simple and first difference. Second difference is the by default the data members of class are what? Private. But by default the data members of structure are public. This you remember. Here I have not put any visibility mode. Means what? These members are private. I have assigned nothing means these are private. In structure I have assigned nothing. Visibility mode I have not given anything. Means what? These are public. Clear? In structure if I don't assign anything then it means private. In structure if I don't assign anything then it means public. So this is the second difference. Means by default the data members and member function of class is private, and by default the data members and member function of structure is public. Here comes the second difference. From second difference we can make another difference, third difference. That means the class inherits, the class has the property of data encapsulation or data hiding. Means it provides security. But the structure doesn't provide security as it does not accommodate the property of data hiding or data encapsulation. Clear? Why? Because the visibility mode is what? Private. So private means no other person, no other data members outside the class can access these data members. Okay? So data is secure. But here public means anyone can access this data. Anyone from outside, any data members, member function from outside the class can access this data easily. So that's why security is not there in structure. So this is the third difference. Clear? So we have got the difference here for class and structure. I am writing here again the difference. You look at this difference and you remember, always you remember the difference between class and structure. This is very important. Okay? So you see difference between class and structure. These are the basic difference that I am telling you. You can get many more differences also. These are the main and important difference that I am going to tell you. This class means we use the keyword class for defining class. This is the first difference. Second difference, first difference of structure is we use the keyword struct for defining structure. Second difference what I have told you, by default the data members and member functions of class are what? Private. By default class provides private visibility mode, but by default structure provides what? Public visibility mode. By default the data members and member functions of structure are public. Third difference comes from the second difference itself. Class provides security as it enforces data hiding. And this is structure does not provide security as it does not enforce data hiding. So is it clear to you? You can note it down, this difference. This is very, very important. Okay, you can add another difference here, that class supports inheritance. We can do inheritance using class, but structure does not support inheritance. Structure does not support inheritance. Clear? So you can write this. You note it down because this is very, very important. Okay. So now comes next is union and enumeration. Union means what? If I define an union type of function, that is, this is union, this is my data type union, I have to assign union keyword before that one. This is the name of that union, and inside this I have defined two data types, that is, one is integer, one is character. Okay, and here this is what? This CMPT is the object of that union data type. So what the union does, suppose it looks for the highest data type. Here you see in between this integer and character, what is the highest data type? Integer, because integer is having 2 bytes of memory, you remember, and character is having 1 bytes of memory. So always remember that union always searches for the highest memory allocation. So it gets the integer, then it does what? It allocates 2 bytes of memory depending upon the highest data type. So depending upon highest data type, it will assign 2 bytes of memory, and from that 2 bytes it will assign these 2 bytes to this data member, integer data member, and from these 2 bytes it will share 1 byte to this character data type. Means the union performs the sharing operation. In the case of class and structure, if you have 3 types of data members, suppose integer, character, float, then depending upon that values, it will assign its memory allocation. That is, for integer it will occupy 2 bytes of memory. Then for character it will assign 1 byte of memory. Then for floating point it will assign 4 bytes of memory. Clear? This is in the case of class and structure. It will provide different location of memory for different variables. But in case of union, what it does, it shares the memory among the different variables that are assigned to this union. Okay? Suppose it looks for the highest data type. Highest data type is integer. So what it will do, it will assign the integer, the memory allocation 2 bytes of memory. It will allocate. Then it will share 2 bytes. It will give to its integer variable, and 1 byte it will share with the character variable. Suppose there is another variable floating point. Suppose float a. Then float is having the highest number. Float is having 4 bytes of memory. So what it will do? It will assign 4 bytes. It will allocate 4 bytes of memory first. Then what it will do? It will assign the 4 bytes of memory to the variable a. Then it will share 2 bytes to integer variable and 1 byte to character variable. This memory allocation can be anything. Any 2 bytes it can allocate, these 2 or these 2. It will depend upon the OS. Okay? So anything it can occupy, but the main thing is that it will share its memory. Okay? Next comes the enumeration. Union over. Next comes enumeration. Enumeration is nothing but just like the constant. Okay? Constant, what we have used, that const int n equals to 5 means what? In the whole program, wherever there is n inside the program, it will assign the value 5 to n. It will assign value 5 to n. Means this is constant. This 5 is constant. So this constant suggests what? During the execution of the whole program, this value will not change. Similar work does the enum. Okay? Enum means it automatically assigns a particular value to the variables that is defined inside the enum. Means 0 will be assigned to start, pause, 1, go, 2. Means in the whole program, wherever it will get start, it will assign the value 0 to it. Wherever it will get pause, it will assign 1 to it. Wherever it will get go, it will assign 2 to this variable. This enum, if you write this enum like any variable you give a, b, c, then also it means a similar thing. 0, 1 and 2 will be assigned to it. Means wherever it will get a, it will assign 0 to it. It is nothing but like this, const int a equal to 0, const int b equal to 1, const int c equal to 2. Clear? If we write using constant, then we have to write 3 lines of code. But similar thing if we do using enum, then in 1 line we can accommodate this thing. Clear? This is enumeration and nothing else. Okay? Now comes the variables. What are variables? Variables are storage locations whose value can be changed during the execution of the program. Constant was what? Its value will remain constant during the whole program execution. Its value will not change. And variable is just opposite. It means it can change, it can be changed during the execution of the program. It's just a storage allocation that allocates some memory in our computer system. Okay? So there are 2 values basically of variables. One is data value, one is location value. Data value can be also referred as R value and location value can also be referred as L value. Now what this means? Suppose I am assigning a variable int a equal to 5. I am assigning 5 to this variable. Suppose I am writing like this, int a, b, c. Now I am assigning a 5, b's value is 2 and c's value is 4. This I have assigned. Okay. So what it will do? It will allocate have assigned to that variable. R value is nothing but the data that is assigned to this variable, so R value will be 5. And what will be the L value? L value means the address of that variable, means this variable is stored in which address. So L value of A is what? 100. Its address is 100, so it will be 100. Clear? Suppose R value of 2 will be what? R value of B will be what? 2. And similarly R value of B will be what? Its address, that is 102. So clear? R value and L value. R value is nothing but the data and L value is nothing but the address of the location where that variable is stored. Now you see our next topic is formatting output. So formatting output means output, we have to manipulate the output, means the appearance of the output should be manipulated, should be formatted in some way so that it appears attractive or something like that. Okay. So for this, first thing is that we have to include the header file #include iomanip.h. For formatting the output, generally there are two types of formatting that is generally done in C++. One is setw, another is setPrecision. So for including these functions, what we have to do, we have to include this header file iomanip.h. Iomanip means input output manipulator. Okay, means input, we have to manipulate the input or output or format the input or output in some way. So first one is setw manipulator. What it does, it sets the width of the field. Means what? If you give like this, cout setw6r, what it will do? It will set the width of r to 6 places. But here r is having only 1 places. So before that r, it will assign 5 more places to meet this required value. That is, the output will be 5 underscore, then r will be displayed. So here comes the size of the field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why setw6 we have here. Clear? Always remember that before the character the underscore will be displayed, not after the character. Okay? So setw manipulator means it sets the width of the field to some size. Means if we give some other value in place of r, suppose you give ro, then what it will do? It is one field, it will assign like this. Before, because already there are two values, already there are 2 letters, so it will assign 4 more spaces to meet this requirement. Okay. Next one is setPrecision manipulator. What it does, it sets the total number of digits to be displayed when floating point numbers are printed. Means it will tell us how much places of how many total number of digits will be printed if there is a floating point number. Okay. So if I write like this, cout setPrecision 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many digits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But what we have written? 5 digits. So this will be rounded off and it will come add. Since this number is more than 5, so 1 will be added to this place. So what will be the output? 123.46. This is because of the rounding off. Always remember that when there is setPrecision, there will be rounding off. If the number is greater than 5, then 1 will be added. If the number is less than 5, then nothing will be added. It will remain same. Okay. Then you see, if this is for after the decimal places, this setPrecision manipulator is used to count the number of digits after the decimal places. Means the total number of digits that are heavy, that are being there in this floating point number, means it will count the total number of digits. This is the total number of digits. setPrecision 5 means the total, including the mantissa and the exponent part. Okay, the total digits is 5. Now, if I want to assign this setPrecision 5 only to the decimal part, means after the floating point, after the point, there should be 5 digits. Then what we have to do? we have to assign a flag value, that is cout set f, that is flag is nothing but one temporary variable, ios fix. This function we have to first define. Okay, when you will define this flag set f ios fix, when this flag will be defined, then when you will write cout set precision 5 1 2 3 1 2.345678, this will mean what? This 5 means after the decimal places there should be 5 values. Okay, so what this output will come? 1 2.3 4 5 6 and 7. Remember, here there is no rounding off. Here we have round off, but here there will be no round off. Clear? So if you have only set precision, then it will calculate the total digits in the floating point number, and if you assign a flag ios fixed before this set precision, then it will count the number of digits after the decimal point. You see, after the decimal point it has counted 5 places of values, and here there will be no rounding off, and here there will be round off. Clear? Now we are moving on to the topic operators and expressions. So before going to different types of operator, there are different types of operator like arithmetic operator, logical operators. So before going to this, we are discussing the output operator and input operator that is used in the C++ program. So output operator, the symbol is this one, and it is also known as put to operator. It is also known as put to operator or insertion operator. Clear? And this input operator is also known as get from or extraction operator. Extraction operator. So you remember this output operator or put to operator or insertion operator is always used with cout. This is the output operator, means for inserting the output on the screen. This input operator is always used with cin. This is known as get from or extraction operator, means to extract the input from the keyboard. Means when we will enter something through keyboard, this cin will extract that value from the keyboard. So this is known as extraction, this is known as insertion. For inserting the value to monitor, and this is for extraction from the keyboard. So suppose cout, I am writing the sum of 2 plus 3 is, I am writing what? Cout 2 plus 3. So what it will give the output? The output will be the sum of 2 plus 3 is 5. See, it will add this value 2 plus 3 and it will show me 5. See, where we use, suppose I am telling the user to enter a number. The user will enter it through keyboard. I am telling the user that during the execution time, it will ask the user enter a number. So user will enter through the keyboard. So that number will be extracted through this cin. Suppose it will be extracted from the keyboard and it will be stored inside this and variable. Suppose the user is entering 5, so 5 will be stored inside and. Clear? So this is the use of cin and cout. Always remember, this operator is used with cout and this operator is used with cin. Cin means to get the input, cout means to put the output. Okay, sorry, to get the input, and this is for output, to put the output on the monitor or screen. Suppose one small program I am writing here, you see. Through this input and output, the put to and get from operator, suppose hash include iostream dot age, and here it is I have been told that this program should be made so the user can give two numbers, and through the two numbers the computer will add those two values for addition of two numbers. Okay, this simple program. So first what we will do, we will first declare this variable, two variable we need for two numbers. Then it will ask the user to enter the two numbers. Enter two numbers. So this will be printed in the monitor. So for printing in the monitor we use Cout. So this will be printed in the monitor that enter two numbers. After that user will enter through keyboard, and that will be extracted through this cin operator and will be put in these two variables. Suppose at the time of execution of the program, user has given two values, suppose 5 and 7. So this 5 will be stored inside A and this 7 will be stored inside B. This will be the two memory locations. Then we need another variable, sum, for calculating the sum. So here calculation part will be there, A plus B. So what it will do, A is having 5, B is having 7. So it will add these two values, that is it will come out to be 12, and it will store this in the sum variable. Now it will print the sum value. Sum is what? Sum is what? Where it is stored? This will be stored inside the sum variable. So this sum variable will be put to the screen. That's why we have used this put to operator. This sum, the value that is stored inside the sum, it will be put to the screen. Then we will write return 0 and our program ends here. So this is over this program. So that's all for today's class. In the next class I will discuss this arithmetic operators, logical operators, different types of operators, and then we will move on. Okay, so here ends today's class. Thank you.